learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So the bank wants their property back. Yep. Well, before I get into that, I think I'll give you some history. I'm buying my firewood again. I'm so proud of my firewood. It's like my retirement plan. You know, I'm gonna get 15 cords of wood and I'm just gonna keep that in cycle. I'm always gonna have 15 cords of wood and I'll use the oldest first and then, you know, working into the newer stuff. And then when I am 70 years old, I'll have 15 years worth of firewood that, you know, we'll be able to do without having to cut much wood. I think I'm going to try to cut wood my entire life as much as I possibly can. Now, it won't rot. I've said it many times. The firewood will not rot if it's taken care of properly. It's off the ground, it's covered up. I know this isn't covered up right now. I do have some tarps up here, and I'll get it all covered up. We're trying to buy some tin roofing. Used tin roofing so we can cover it up appropriately. And then you put some termite control stuff around it, just like you do your house, and it'll last 15 years. It'll last 4 to 5 years just laying out on the ground. So I just got to get it to last another 10 years, and that's not going to be a big deal. Sure, some of it might rot, but not enough to worry about. And then I'm just going to use 1 cord of wood per year to heat our house. So I keep saying this is my retirement plan, which is a huge retirement plan if you think about it. Heating cost is extremely high. I was talking to my dad today and he said he pays like $250 a month for electric down in Florida. Of course he runs air conditioning. And if I pay $80 to run air conditioning, it's probably more like $40 to run air conditioning each month. Huge difference when you're living in a tiny house and running a generator and solar panels. So give you some history on my life about finances. I've never really done that good with finances until recently. I would say the last 5, 6, 7 years. I was always in debt. I had a credit card when I was a teenager. I think I was still in high school when I had my first credit card. Of course, I maxed that out. And I've always had financial trouble. So when I went into the Navy, my grandma paid off my credit card for me. Of course, I had to pay her back. But what did I do? In order to get up to my Navy base up in Seattle, I had to use a credit card. I had to use that credit card. So I maxed it out almost instantly again. Of course, it took me years to pay my grandma off. I think it took me, I don't know, 7, 10 years, something like that to pay her off. And here I had to pay on this credit card. Now, of course, grandma's interest rate was a lot lower than the credit card. So, I mean, that was a good deal. But, I mean, so right from the get-go, I was in debt to everybody. So I learned at an early age how to steal from Paul to pay Peter, or pay Peter to steal from Peter to pay Paul, whatever. It was right out of the gate, stealing from grandma to pay the credit card. I've had a vehicle repossessed before, and that wasn't hard to do at all. I mean, that was just simple. Had a new truck, was making payments on it. It was a 97 truck, actually. And I was doing really well. Well, I got hurt in a car accident. I was a passenger in a vehicle. I was laid up for weeks. All my ribs were broke. I was in pretty bad shape, and I couldn't work. Well, you can't work, you can't pay your bills. That was in '99. Then, of course, you know, you buy a house, and you're in debt with the house, and you keep paying credit cards, and you still got car payments, and you're just constantly working just to pay the credit cards. My last wife and I, we divorced in 2014, I think, separated. And, of course, we were doing pretty good. I mean, we had lots of debt, don't get me wrong. But we were always able to maintain our credit cards, be able to pay the minimum payments. Every now and then we get something paid off, and be a big party, you know, get a car paid off, yay, and you'd be all excited. But the debt was always there. And it was only one accident, only one, you know, laid off time, and you'd be broke. I mean, you'd just be underwater. You wouldn't be able to survive. Well, then, of course, divorce is always a tragic thing when it comes to debt. And I'm not making any blames. I'm not blaming anybody. But when my ex-wife left me, she also left me with $50,000 worth of debt. Now, of course, she had her own credit issues also. So like I said, I'm not trying to point blame, but me had $50,000. I had a job that I absolutely could not stand anymore. I mean, I was so much stress, and it was killing me, but I couldn't quit. I just could not quit. And the boss knew I was in trouble. Of course, I told him I was in trouble when my wife left and I had all that debt. And so he knew he had me, so he would work me just to death. Of course, I was salary, so working extra hours didn't do anything. I just had to keep, paying my bills. Well, I decided at that point that this is just not feasible. And, I met Carolyn, and she is really good financially. And when I say good financially, she just does not spend money at all. She just refuses to spend money. You say, hey, you want to go get a snack? No. You want to go out to eat? No. She just does not spend money. Now, she'll cook popcorn every night for a snack. These are the kind of cost-saving things. And man, you should see her at the store. She'll price compare every item. And it drives you insane. You're just standing there in the aisles and you're watching her. She's picking up one item, picking up another item, looking at the tag, looking at this tag, looking at the ounces, how many ounces does this have, and doing the calculations. She'll be on Craigslist looking how to, save money on doors and windows for our tiny house. She's looking at how the cheap prices are on the property, $4,200 for this property. Phenomenal. So when I met her, she was really able to show me that, you don't have to go out to have a good time. You can have a good time sitting at the park. Also, the other thing I had to do was I had to give my daughter my car as part of the child support agreement. She was in college. She started college at 14, and, by 16, she had to have a car. We homeschooled her. That's a whole different video about my daughter, but she's a genius, which means I had to have a vehicle. And of course, being who I was, I bought a new truck. Now, it was a small Chevy Colorado, it's 4-cylinder. I think it was $350 payment on a truck. The other thing I had to pay, I paid monthly payments to tax. I got behind on taxes. I used to be self-employed, so you had to pay quarterly. And I never had enough money to pay the taxes. And when you're self-employed, they just tax you to death. I mean, just tax you to death. So I had 3 years of taxes I had to back pay on and $50,000 in debt. I was swimming and couldn't quit my job. So Carolyn and I focused for, 2-3 years to pay off the debt. We took the highest interest item and we paid it off first. And I tell you, once you get focused on paying it off and how good it makes you feel to get something paid off, the adrenaline rush or the rush you get from paying something off is just as exciting as it was when you were buying things in the first place. It's such a good feeling. And so now you have that extra $50. Let's say it was $50 a month for that one credit card. And so now you put it on the other credit card. So the other credit card's $50 a month. Now you're putting $100 because you had the 50 from the other one and 100. And so you get that one paid off twice as fast. And then it just kind of snowballs and it really starts to speed up. And it only took me, once I actually started focusing on paying off the truck, I only had the truck for like a year. I was able to pay, I think, $1,000 a month on the truck payment. And I had it paid off just a few months, probably a year or so. It really went quick. Taxes were taken care of. And that was a really good feeling because I was so scared I was going to get arrested for taxes. And then it was just, let's put money in the bank, put money in the bank, put money in the bank. And before you knew it, you had lots of money saved back so you could have a retirement plan, have an emergency fund if something goes wrong. And now it takes very little money because we don't have any bills. The bills we have 2 cell phones and insurance on the truck. So we were able to pay cash for this property. We don't have any worries about that. The taxes on this property are $23. Of course, if it goes up, it goes up. Let's say it goes up to $300 a year after we get the little tiny house built. Well, okay, so it's $300 a year for taxes. It's just so freeing not having debt. I can wake up in the morning and think nothing is going to go wrong. Nothing. So, yes, the bank, they want their money. and they're going to get their money. My grandma wanted her money. They want it. And if they don't get it, they're going to come after your property. I see so many people in the comment section say, I want to do what you're doing. As soon as I find somebody that can finance it for me, I'm going to get it. You know, they want owner financing and that kind of stuff. Look, that is just a mistake. Find a piece of property, $4,200, you know, set out a price limit. Say, okay, I'm not going to spend any more than X dollars. And then you spend the next 2 years, 1 or 2 years, saving that money back. But don't go into debt to do this lifestyle, because living this is freedom. I agree. It's absolute freedom. I understand what you're saying. But if you're in debt to pay for it, it's not freeing, because all the time you're worrying about, how am I going to pay it? Especially if there's an economic downturn. So I hope I can encourage you to find financial freedom before you find off-grid freedom or living your dream freedom. Thanks for watching.